It's usually pretty easy to see what Pokemon are going to be good and competitive and which Pokemon aren't. As in, no one saw Mega Rayquaza and was like, well, that guy's gonna suck. But sometimes competitive players get things wrong, and we think a Pokemon is going to be a lot better than it actually is. These are some of the overhyped Pokemon that I can think of. Kleavor. One of the most valuable things a Pokemon can have is a good move pool, and what's better than having valuable moves is having a valuable signature move. That way, using that Pokemon is the only way to access that move, guaranteeing usage. Well, this isn't exactly the same thing, but for example, it's part of the reason people use Smeargle, Spitops, and Shuckle that have a very valuable move in Sticky Web. Kleavor has a very similar thing going on. Kleavor has a very impressive move in Stone Axe. But why is Stone Axe so valuable? Well, let me break it down for you. Stone Axe is a move that sets up Stealth Rock. That alone is very valuable, since just having Stealth Rock as a move is already something that can give a Pokemon a niche. But it's also a base 65 power move, which is Rock type with a 90% accuracy. It's not just that you can deal damage while setting up rocks, that's already impressive, but it's also that it's a Rock type physical move with high accuracy. Rock type moves are unfortunately very low accuracy and quite scarce. That's why even some of the best Rock type Pokemon, granted there aren't a lot, sometimes don't even run Rock type moves. Like Tyranitar, who sometimes skips Stone Edge even if it leaves him with no good Rock stat. Even if power is on the lower side of 65, the fact that it'll actually hit most of the time is already huge, because that's how low the bar is for Rock type Pokemon. On top of that, he has a pretty interesting offensive typing and Bug and Rock, which previously only Pokemon like Armaldo had, a typing not so often seen. So a good signature move, impressive stat combo, why didn't he live up to the hype? Well, a few reasons. For one, his typing might be good offensively, but it certainly isn't good defensively. He has a weakness to Rock, Water, and Steel. That might not seem too bad, but those are all fairly common type. Combined with weak defensive stats, you might think, well, Kleavor isn't meant to be defensive, he's meant to come in and use Stone Axe, cause as much damage as possible, and die a fast, miserable death. But you know what most leads historically have? A good speed stat. And that he doesn't have. He doesn't meet the threshold of 100 speed. On top of that, there's another Pokemon you may know who does his job better, Hisuian Samurott. Hisuian Samurott doesn't have the most impressive stats either, but it has a better typing in Water Dark, which is better offensively than Bug Rock. It's also immune to Taunt because of its dark typing, and because of that, it can make better use of utility moves like Taunt, Encore. It also has better offensive moves like Aqua Jet, Sucker Punch, Knock Off, and Flip Turn. Essentially, Kleavor got outdone in a way that made his weaknesses a lot more obvious. Maushold. What's so interesting about these horny little mice? Well, it's a pretty similar thing to Kleavor, in the sense that they had a move everyone thought would be completely overpowered, that being obviously Population Bomb combined with Tidy Up. Similar to Kleavor, those are exclusive moves that made people think Maushold was going to be a much bigger deal than it actually is. Population Bomb is a move that when you account for Terra Normal Stab and Technician, can do up to 600 damage. Obviously, that's quite a lot. There's not another move that can do that. Additionally, Tidy Up is even more unique because it's not only a utility move, but it's one that boosts stats and remove hazards at the same time. It's basically a Dragon Dance with defog. So what held it back? Well, Maushold may have good base stats, but everything else about it is not only mid, but bad. It gets walled incredibly easily by physical walls like Hippowdon, Slowbro, or Dondozo. It's also a very susceptible Pokemon to things like Rocky Helmet, Rough Skin, Flame Body, or Static. It's also a Pokemon that's very vulnerable to hazards. In order for Population Bomb to actually land most of the time, it needs to use Wide Lens, so it can't use heavy duty boots. Steel and especially Ghost types are also a very easy way to get rid and around of this guy. And like many other glass cannons, it's a Pokemon that if you can outspeed, you can easily kill. It also has a very predictable tier type. It's always Ghost or Normal, which kind of adds to it being mid. Even move pool wise, it's incredibly predictable, only really having one valid moveset that it uses every single time, since it's its only real function. Next is Terapagos. Terapagos is a Pokemon that only ever really had a high usage once, and that's when it was introduced. Once people finished playing around with it and the new toy syndrome quote-unquote wore off, they realized that just like every other turtle Pokemon out there, it's mid. Except you, Torterra, whom I love very much. It has two fairly impressive forms, which both bringing different things to the table. Terapagos Shell form being a more defensive variant of Terapagos Stellar form, and Terapagos Stellar form being a more offensive one. Like the other Pokemon on this list, it brings some unique attributes that no other Pokemon has access to, like the move Terra Sandstorm, and both abilities Terra Shell and Terraform Zero. However, usage-wise, although it is in Ubers, the highest official tier, it's not one of the Pokemon most frequently used. In a tier like Uber's, where everything is hyper-centralized, that's a very hard thing to pull off. So why exactly did it fail? Well, number one, Terra. It's very reliant on it. Without it, basically it's just another mid-tier normal type. Any more evidence of this, just look at the national dex tier where Terra is banned. Both forms of Terapagos fall to OU because it doesn't really bring anything special enough. So what if it's reliant on Terra? What's wrong with that? Well, that's what we call being a Terra hog, meaning none of your other Pokemon get to benefit from terastallization. It also means your opponent knows exactly who you're going to Terra, which makes it easier to predict how and when you're going to Terra. Well, what if I don't Terra? Then you're stuck with a normal type, and if you're going to use a normal type, there's a very popular one that's already dominating Ubers for years now. His name is Arceus. Arceus is a simple but effective moveset. The only Pokemon with extreme speed who's actually good, except Dragonite, whom I love very, very, very much. And essentially, it's not just that Arceus is better, it's that Arceus uses Terra more effectively as well. Terra Normal on Arceus makes extreme speed one of the deadliest moves, and it's been one of the best movesets in Ubers for a while. It's one of the few reasons that not every single Koraidon runs Terra Fire and some run Terra Ghost, so that they don't have to worry about extreme speed Arceus. Terapagos also doesn't have the luxury of being like most other Pokemon, because its Terra type has to be Stellar. Again, that gives it even less variety and makes it even more predictable. Pawmot has a very interesting move going for it, just like every other Pokemon on this list essentially. His move being Revival Blessing. Revival Blessing, as we all probably know, is a move that revives a Pokemon up to 50% of their HP. If you go on Reddit, you'll see plenty of people from up to 3 years ago talking about how it has potential to be banned or how it will always be OU material. Flash forward to present day, it is now, well, it's not exactly OU, it's NU and PU material. What happened? At first glance, that definitely seems like it would be the case. It's not very hard to see why people thought he was going to be banned. He's a fairly fast and strong Pokemon with a good offensive typing of electric and fighting, and a really amazing move like I said. So what's wrong with this? Well, Revival Blessing would be a lot better essentially on a Pokemon if it was one who is suited better for, support moveset. Support Pokemon like Blissey, Galarian Slowbro, Dondozo would have been great candidates for this move. Basically, a Pokemon who is bulky enough to use a non-damaging move without immediately dying afterwards to the next hit. That's the thing. Even though this section is about Pawmot, this could also be applicable to another Pokemon with access to this move called Rapska. At first glance, these two Pokemon look nothing alike and are nothing alike. Pawmot is a fast physical attacker, and Rapska is a slow special attacker. What could they possibly have in common? Well, they both have a unique move in Revival Blessing, but also, no one wants to run them. If you want to run an electric fighting type, you can run Iron Hands. He's right there, he's a lot bulkier and he's a lot stronger with a better ability. And when it comes to Rapska, if you want to use a bug type for some reason, unbeknownst to me, well, there's plenty of those that are better. Basically, Revival Blessing would be a move that would be a lot better on other Pokemon. But because it's stuck on these two, no one really wants to use them. At first glance, it seems like these Pokemon would have been great for broken strategies, but when these Pokemon are taken out in one hit and they don't even get a chance to use it, there's no reason to have it on your team. Basically, it would be a lot better if Revival Blessing wasn't stuck on a Pokemon like Pawmot, who is mid at best and bad at worst, or Rapska, who's terrible at best, and I hope that he's not in Gen 10 at worst. They're both frail Pokemon who don't mix well with support movesets, and nobody wants to use. Those were some of the Pokemon that at first many players thought would be very good, but in practice were pretty overhyped.
Yeah.